evening, all my friends, well-wishers, and the viewers of this today's coffee table discussion (CTD) of Dr. Swami. Thank you very much, Dr. Swami, for such an elaborate introduction on me. I do not know whether I really deserve the same or not. Anyhow,
Right.
good evening again. Hearty welcome to all the distinguished panelists to
Thank you.
Dr. Swami's coffee table discussion today on women empowerment. What next? I deem it a great privilege to moderate this discussion. The ball game now I propose is that I will put forth some of the crucial concerns on women empowerment on the table, and I humbly request one panelist after the other to share their learned views, thoughts, and esteemed suggestions or recommendations. Further, at the end of the discussion, I hope Dr. Swami will encapsulate or summarize the discussions with recommendations on this CTV. Okay, we keep women at a high esteem in India. Not only in India, in world also, women are treated in a very esteemed high level. The saying in Sanskrit, Karyesh Dasi, Karanesh Mantri, Bhojesh Mata, Sayanesh Rambha, Rupeshu Lakshmi, Kshamayeshu Dharitri. So we all know what this signifies this. But in practice or in true reality, is this happening? That is my first and fundamental foremost concern. As per the United Nations data, the current population of India is around 140.06 crores. 140.06 crores out of the total current world population of 783.63 crores. 783.63 crores. Out of the Indian population, 90 there are 924 females per thousand males. That means around 48.4% of the total population. If we see statistically, 72.32 crores are male population. On the other hand, the women population is around 67.74 crores. But 38% of the women population are illiterate, around 17.63 crores. They still don't know how to write, how to read, and how to communicate. So, think what is empowerment? Empowerment is the process that creates power in individuals over their own lives, society, and in their communities. Women empowerment is raising the status of women through education, awareness, literacy, as well as ability to manage the risk and improve their economic status and well-being. So this is a definition or what you call a narration on empowerment. Empowerment of women, particularly rural women, is a critical subject in the policies of balanced growth with social equality in any developing country. Economic empowerment affects women's capacity to control or make the right decision, develop self-confidence, and role in the family. Globally, women influence 80% of buying decisions, I was told, and control around US $20 trillion. $20 trillion are the economic decisions or buying decisions that are purely made by the female population. Women spend around 90% of their income because they don't keep themselves now. Men build the assets, men build the property, men purchase the land. So women, what they do? They do shopping, they spend at least 90% of their income on their family, kith and kin. In our country, most pathetically, women are not well represented in most of the sectors. Women control only 9% of land in India. If you take the agricultural land, now our Telangana government has done, the excellent Dharani portal. Every inch of land is recorded. And hassle-free registration of the land documents nowhere in the world, not in the country, not in neighboring states. Dharani portal is excellent portal because I am trying to venture into a small piece of land, and I have seen in the morning my son got enrolled into that portal, and in 15-20 minutes he booked the slot with giving all the information. So that is the excellent performance of the e-governance initiative of the government of Telangana. Okay, coming to our topic. uh, but women face great physical insecurity. The rate of crimes against women in India stands at 53.9%, and most of the more than half of the women do not have cell phones. Even if they have, 80% do not connect to the internet at all. They use only for communication purpose. They don't know how to navigate, how to get the information, how to do the citizen services, all those things. Most of the women, 80% of the women doesn't know. At present, at national level, 43% of women have high household autonomy. Oh, only 43%. 23% have freedom to move outside. Out of the total women population, only 23% can go out and do the shopping without telling her husband, or without telling his family, or with permission from them. Only 23% can move out of their houses, including the employed woman. And 40% women have no gender preference attitude. 43% of women defy domestic violence. That means they can tolerate, around 43% are tolerating the domestic violence. However, in India, disparities exist between men and women in education, health, employment, income opportunities, and participation in political process in the country. Further, various aspects of empowerment of women are yet to be achieved, like women are often kept out of decision making, or they are dependent on their husband, father, or brother for any crucial decisions or support. But it is noticed that across the world, economically empowered women boost demand, have healthier and better educated children, and rise human development levels. This is well accepted fact. So today, now on this coffee table of Dr. Swami, let us deliberate some of the crucial concerns on women empowerment in our country, and the various women empowerment interventions of Government of India, state government, how they are functioning, what are their impact, and what would be the future roadmap. So this is our discussion today on the coffee table of Dr. Swami, right? So now how I would go about, I will go about question by question or pointer by pointer. I would request the panelists to kindly share their views and thoughts one by one, and then let us come to a conclusion, and Dr. Swami will share his views and recommendations at the end of the discussion. So now my first point.
Shall I?
Yeah, madam, please carry on.
Please.
First, I would like to thank you for the introduction that you have elaborately given on different statistical ideas about the empowerment of women. I don't think there has been much empowerment done for women in India. If you see the number where India stands in the world's empowerment statistics, it is somewhere from the last, from the bottom. It stands in 115 position, 115th out of 124 countries. So I don't think there is much empowerment done. Second thing, the women's bill that has to be passed, it went with lot of approach and lot of delay, and it was done for the sake of doing it. There is not much effect out of it. Third thing, the percentage of legislative members, women legislative members in the parliament. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. Is also not compared to men. It is much, few in number. It has now come down to, I think, 68. So I don't think there is much empowerment done. And next thing, the ratio and the amniocentesis. If ever you look into the statistics, it says that that meta, that perspective of having sons, we call it as, it has eroded 63 million women from the womb. We call it as amniocentesis, knowing about the sex rate.
Gender.
If it is a girl child, then in the womb it's killed. So that figure comes to 63 million women who would have been in onto this earth. So I don't think there is any empowerment. Empowerment should be within a woman. That means it should start from home first thing. Just like we see some advertisements these days, mothers educating their sons how to behave with the siblings at home and the girls outside. That's one factor. Second thing is, every woman at home should teach the society through her home as a classroom or as a place where the maturity of women starts at an early stage. The maturity of economic, the maturity of other areas, she has nil knowledge, but that maturity also need to be given. Third thing, at school itself, for her security, there should be martial arts introduced in school, just like we have this digital divide, or we have technology included into the system for her own security. I think if these few measures, we will continue, but I think if these are introduced, there may be some empowerment percentage improvement. What do you say?
Can I join?
Yeah.
Please.
Let me just to elaborate on whatever Dr. Madhumati just mentioned. I think she was true to a large extent, but even before the martial arts and school going, let me come to some very important economic viewpoint, how a girl child is looked at in our rural India. And the majority of girl children in rural India, let me share my own experience. When I was at the engineering college in NIT Varangal, I was an NSS volunteer. We used to go to villages to talk about adult education and also to ensure that girl children should be empowered to go to schools. What normally happens, one farmer family told me, "Sir, మీరు చెప్పేదంతా చాలా బాగుంది." In Telugu, he told me, just translating that in English.
No problem,
He said,
no problem.
"Sir, what you are saying is all true, but let me tell you, we have an agricultural season. One crop, it is about 2.5 months to 3 months. Two crops, it's about 6 months. And in those 6 months, both me and my wife, we have to go to work. We have to be in the fields from morning, early in the morning. Who will take care of the siblings? Usually it will be the girl child at home. And moment the girls cross the age of 9 or 10, they start doing all the household chores and they are told, stop going to school now. Chadukunnad chalu, enough. This was the condition. I'm talking about 1980s. This is the condition. And did not change much. If you happen to go to any of the rural schools, the children are going to school for the midday meal scheme rather than for studies, rather than for education. And neither the parents are encouraging them to study further. It's a rare case that I find a rickshaw puller's daughter in a village in Maharashtra topped the CA examination a few years back. Those are very rare cases. Highly determined children still do that because they are inspired. But speaking for a majority of the girl children, they are not even encouraged to go to schools, ma'am. So this is the point I am trying to actually hit it when I'm talking of empowerment of the girl children. The parents, I think the charity begins at home. The parents also should feel, as much as the boys will have to go to school, the girl children also will have to go to school. And I know of several girl children in government schools where I go as a volunteer to teach 4th class, 5th standard girl students I meet. I asked one of them, ఎందుకమ్మా లేట్ అయింది, why did you come late? Sir, ఇంట్లో క్లీనింగ్ పని అంతా నేను చేసి వచ్చేసరికి లేట్ అవుతుంది సార్. She told me. 9 years old girl student studying 4th standard. This is the condition. And this is the condition in urban areas. I'm not talking of rural. So the economic, the economics of it dictates all. So how to empower? Politically speaking, I feel in most of these villages, the panchayat, third tier administrative, 50% reservation should be for women. Women should have that self-help groups started by Chandrababu Naidu in a big way some years back. I feel these are kinds of things, and therefore adult education of the mothers, so that they teach their own children good things and encourage them to educate themselves, so that the literacy levels improve. Self-help groups to help in vocational training and others, so that the women are less dependent on the husbands. I know of cases where homes were delivered to families, poor families, and within a month they were sold by the husbands so that they will have money to go and buy liquor. And the women cried in front of us as a voluntary agency when we were going to help them to find out what was the impact of giving them a house. The impact was they sold the house. And this is the condition. Economically speaking, I am speaking of some of these realities. Maybe I am sounding negative a bit, but I think we should start facing these realities before we think of empowering a lot of women. It starts at home, both in the rural and in the urban areas. I think it starts from the parents.
Yes, sir.
Krishna Kumar Garu, please introduce yourself and share your views.
I am Krishna Kumar, retired Deputy Chief Engineer from Housing Board, and presently doing nothing except some programs, that too in COVID, and no programs, nothing, from home only, online. And in today's topic about women, you said, I will narrate one story. At Mulgu, Warangal district, one beggar who used to collect his day-to-day things from the dustbins and sell it away, used to get some money, and one day he found a girl in that dustbin. That girl, what he did, he was nearly about by that time 30 to 35 years in between. He took that girl to his house, where he used to sleep under a manhole, big manhole, this water pipes, no? Under
Water
that he
pipe.
used to, and water pipes. Under that he used to live. He made that girl, and after growing 5 or 6 years, he put it in a girls' hostel for orphans. అక్కడ స్కూల్లో, ఇది మన గవర్నమెంట్ స్కూల్లో చదివింది. She was always first in the class. Like that she completed 10th class. 10th class tarvata this girl become matured and started, I will also earn, daddy, నువ్వు ఈ కచరా పని తీసేసే బంద్ చేయి, like that she used to know. But he used to continue that. This girl, after entering into intermediate, she got topmost place. And in medicine, she was given seat because of her marks. Nine,
Right.
600 out of 590 as she secured in the intermediate level and entrance, and she became a doctor. Now she is looking after her father. ఆ, అది ఎంత మంచిగా అనిపించిందంటే నేను అది చూసినాను వాళ్ళని కూడా నేను అక్కడ వెళ్ళినప్పుడు. అండ్ దట్ గర్ల్ నౌ ఇస్ ఎ డాక్టర్. అండ్ ఆయనను పూలల్లో పెట్టి కారులో తిప్పగలుగుతుంది. దట్ ఈస్ ఏ గర్ల్. ఎంత సాక్రిఫైస్ చేసిందో. ఆయన కూడా అంతే సాక్రిఫైస్ చేస్తేనే దిస్ గర్ల్ కుడ్ కమ్ అప్ లైక్ దట్. అండ్ నౌ బోత్ ఆర్ లివింగ్ ఇన్ ఏ గుడ్ హౌస్. She became a doctor now, serving the people, poor people, not rich people. So I found మగవాళ్ళలో అంత సామర్థ్యం ఉంటుందో ఉండదో కానీ లెట్ గర్ల్స్ రియల్లీ దే విల్ హ్యావ్ maturity level is more than boys, I can say.
Right. Very true, sir.
At present she is a doctor now.
మీరు లైవ్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇచ్చారు అబౌట్ ఉమెన్ ఎంపవర్మెంట్. వెరీ గుడ్,
అవును.
వెరీ నైస్. జనార్దన్ రావు గారు, కెన్ యూ ప్లీజ్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్ అండ్ దెన్ ట్రై టు షేర్ యువర్ థాట్స్. జనార్దన్ రావు గారు, కెన్ యూ ప్లీజ్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్?
Good evening to everybody. This is a different topic to me. I have got my own topics. I am president Senior Citizens Welfare Association.
Okay.
In this COVID period, I have distributed 12.5 lakh rupees material to the poor senior citizens. That was given by Helpage India. That my topic is different, sir. This.
Okay, no, perfectly all right. But thank you for joining. And Janardhan Rao garu, you were Joint Director Agriculture, na earlier?
Yeah.
I know. Okay. You were Joint Director Agriculture. He did a lot of agricultural reforms and
Yeah. When I was Joint Director of Agriculture, West Godavari District, CM used to visit every month. He used to appreciate Agriculture Department. I made West Godavari to stay first in the state.
Okay.
In all activities.
Very nice.
Even
Thanks
after that also I am in social service. I am also a trustee to a mentally retarded school, where I will be writing this project report. Yearly 20 lakh rupees we will be getting, and 200 children, we are feeding the 200 children. Sir, this is a new topic to me. I could not say anything about
No,
this.
perfectly all right. But see, our experience, our knowledge will definitely give us some insight to the ideas, and it will help Dr. Swami to encapsulate and give us a brief to the next generation. So this is for our generations, So this will help.
Yeah.
Sauri Garu, can I know about you, and please share your views?
Yeah. Thank you. Am I audible now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Audible, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is TLN Sauri. I worked in a public sector undertaking in Ranchi and retired as general manager there. And thereafter, I came here and settled in Hyderabad. Here also, I worked in 2 private firms as a director technical and also as a consultant for some of the firms. So I have contributed to some of the defense and ISRO sectors. While I was in Ranchi, I contributed for the steel plant area. Now, I want to tell you one thing. The subject is very good. And Dr. Madhumati, what she said is that the reform should start from the house, in the house. It is a male child who should be reformed by the mother. That male child, when he gets reformed, he knows how to respect the girl child, how to respect when he gets married, how to give due respect and due equality to his wife, and how to encourage her is very important. Now, I want to tell you one example. In 1962, I passed engineering from Andhra University. In Andhra University at that time, there is not even a single girl student as studying engineering. It is only in 62, probably first one girl joined probably in 62 or 63. Then I went to Russia in 1964. I stayed there for 2 years. In Russia, I suddenly find that there is equality of men and women. There is a chief engineer is a woman. The trainer for me for 3 months, he is a 15-year experienced woman engineer and highly competent engineer. You find women in the factories working and they are equal in all aspects of with men in all fields of work. So this is what I'm surprised at in Russia. Whereas I found in engineering, there's not even a single girl child, girl student here. Now later on, when I came back, I went to Grai Steel Plant on work. I went along with one of my boss. So there is one lady who was sitting there, and we thought she's not an engineer. She's maybe so we wanted to meet some engineer who is out of station. Then she told that you can discuss with me. I'm senior design engineer, and told that we gave us a pleasant surprise that a lady has come as a senior design engineer in the steel plant and interacting in the 1970s. I'm telling you, 68 or this thing. So there is a transformation taking place in India. When you see yesterday's Modi, Mr. Modi addressing the IAS officers, you find in the audience almost 40% lady, women candidates are there.
Yes.
So there is change taking place outside, but inside in our houses, the change should take place. It is a mother who should definitely plays an important role, and the male child should get first reform and proper education to see that he respects the woman. In a society, he knows he gives due place for the woman, and when she does the service outside, she gets the proper support from the house. This is my idea. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Very nice, sir. Very nice. Sir, now coming to the pointers which I wanted to make a mention and need your kind suggestions. First one is, we say female empowerment could be defined in 5 separate categories: social, educational, economic, political, and psychological. So these are the interventions. So half of my question is answered by the esteemed panelists, but whether they have any effect on economic freedom or mobility outside the home and enhanced the purchasing power of women or not. So that if somebody can add to this, I will be glad.
Yes, sir. Coming to, can I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Enhancement in the aspect of first earning. When they earn on their own, they have that freedom of spending. Otherwise, they will not know the value of money. First aspect of it. Second thing, even after knowing the value of money, they may spend, they may not spend as per the necessity. So first aspect is having knowledge or having the education, the minimum education to earn. If I quote a small incident, the present condition, I find the lower class, say the servant maid category type of community. Today I see them earning a minimum of 20,000, doing household work without any education, and they pay for chips or they improve their finances, and they are able to have their own houses, and they are happily with their children spending time. Of course, they do hard work in the morning, right from morning 6 o'clock to that of 1 or 2 o'clock. Evening, they are free. They are spending time with their children, and they're happy living, and they're earning. Coming to the educated class of women, that category, say for example, a woman who has done her PhD, who has got 2 kids, she too, like our Suryanarayan sir has quoted, that both the parents go out of the house, children are left at home. The same condition even here, both the parents leave the house, children are at home alone, and they don't have that much of time to take care of the children. They are left in the creche, or they are left to the tuition master even after coming out of the school, and they do earn, but they don't have that that happiness of spending their time. the amount that a PhD or an educated lady that she earns is now equal to the uneducated lady who is improving her finances. I feel, I feel is this way. And then after spending so much, after she earns so much, she has every limitation of spending it because she doesn't have a permanent job. First thing, with her minimum education, whatever it is temporary. She spends say around 40 years of her service. Then what is the government's responsibility to take care of these ladies who get old? In foreign countries, you have old age homes who take care of these women who serve the country. Say most of the teaching positions, most of the teachers in our country, say for example in Hyderabad, you find women strive a lot, they work a lot, they don't take care of their physical or their mental health. In spite of that, they work for the family. But at the end of their service, what empowerment are they given? Are there any measures by the government to take care of them? Just like in a country, I heard that during their services they spend some amount in some old age home, and after they complete their service they will have that liberty of joining into that same old age home when they are out of service. So that even that facility is not there in India. Women are left on the roads. Like the other day in the newspaper it was read that four sons of a family left an old mother near to a garbage early hours of morning, and somebody, the passers by, saw it, and then they report to the police, and then the mother was taken and handed over to the police. Or like in Japan, there should be a rule that the old age women or old age parents must and should be taken care by the children, whether they are valid or invalid, and such rules need to be there. So I think there is some empowerment, some confidence in the women's mind as they grow old, and that would at least add to what you are asking for.
Thank you. Very good opinions you have expressed, madam. Sir, anybody would like to contribute?
I have one point that I would like to add to what Dr. Madhumati has just mentioned. Adult education also, I feel, where there has been a software. When I was working for TCS, there was a software that was developed which could be taken to rural India to improve the literacy, at least reading and writing part. We went with that software to rural areas, and there were adult education camps held, and in a number of villages, both in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, we did that. And that was a very good program and lauded by the Prime Minister of the country at that time. And but these kinds of adult education literacy, does help both the parents to at least read and write and understand the value of education, and therefore try to ensure that their children are educated at least to some extent, and because they understand the value of education, and that will also help the mother to empowered to actually go out and then like go to a bank and get some work done, or go to an ATM, or go to any social group also, like a self-help group, participate in it, learn some vocational courses, be self-employed too in several cases. These are kinds of things that are one way out for women to be more empowered, so that there is less dependency on the husbands.
Good, sir. Good. So we have a lot of economic empowerment programs like Rajiv Gandhi scheme for empowerment of adolescent girls, Sabala.
Right.
Then we have Arogya Lakshmi, we have Asara
Arogya
pension,
Beti
Arogya
Bachao.
Lakshmi, Kalyana Lakshmi.
Beti Badao, Beti Bachao.
Yeah, Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao, and Government of India programs like Stand Up India, PMJDY, Mudra. So all these programs are meant for giving economic power to the woman. So as Surunarayan Garu said, there is economic power is being pumped in by the government. Dr. Madhumati Garu, I feel there are no depth for the programs, either by the Telangana government or by the government of India. Telangana government, lot of things they are doing. Why he is giving saris and all? He is giving saris to give some sort of self-comfort to the women of the state. So PDS, of course, PDS is a general scheme that we need not mention again. So there are some schemes, but my point is whether all the women have equal access to these economic empowerment programs of federal and state governments. That is my pointer.
Well, may I interrupt now?
Yeah, please.
Murthy?
Yeah, please.
See, this microfinancing is one which actually gets attraction in the villages, and the particular DOCUA system or something is there, some banking, microfinancings.
Yeah.
There, some voluntary organizations should help them to properly utilize the facilities given through microfinancing institutions, and then get the various skills developed and get into economic empowerment.
Good, sir.
I think in that direction, a little more work is required to be done.
Yeah.
That's my
Janardhan Rao Garu, do you agree or would like to supplement? Janardhan Rao Garu?
Yeah. Okay.
Because you are working with NGOs and all, HelpAge India, so all those things are NGOs. So how do you feel? What is your interaction with NGOs?
Yes, I don't have anything to say, sir. Sorry.
Okay. Right. Thank you. So this is the second issue. And third issue, what I am trying to, social empowerment. So social empowerment, fighting back against discrimination, different disabilities, races, religions, genders, and all these things are social empowerment. And the other day in the previous CTD, Dr. Meenakshi was mentioning that during the lockdown, because of work from home, there is domestic violence. So is it true, or whether women are above of it?
Yes, it is. Even the UN goal number 5 for UN was, the World Health Organization was, to control this domestic violence.
Right.
They thought that it was under control, but because of the pandemic, it has increased. And the statistics say that they still have to work on this. It is.
Dr. Madhumati, you were telling something?
Sir, what is the role of government in controlling the social media exposure, or in movies, the exposure of women and characterization of women? Because media influences a lot on public, whether they're educated, whether they're literate or not, whether they are going to school or not. So what exactly is the role of the government in controlling this, which would otherwise empower women?
Yes, well taken. Only thing is social media, yellow journalism is a very, it's a subject which cannot be touched by any sector of the society. They have their own wings and their own freedom. But at least as far as COVID is concerned, it is under control. Media is under control, not COVID. COVID is happening, but media is under control. So
Any calamities, media is under control.
yeah. So,
But Gulf countries, the security, the security given, at least the mental feeling, the freedom and the liberty that is given to women, at least, the feel at least is high than what we see in our country.
Yes.
Leave about the domestic violence or domestic attributes of that, but the women of those countries are well secured. I
Yes.
found in Dubai, even
Yes.
Indians, they have high security. Even a small needle, if ever it is reported to police, the next minute it is traced. This is the aspect of security there. So think about women and
Madam,
the
it is
security.
because of the stringent punishment which they get it.
Yeah, sir. So for
It is
such
because of the
things, why
stringent
don't
punishment they
government?
get.
Yeah,
So,
but to protect
dem-
women, to empower
dem-
women.
That is my most important.
democracy, would it be possible in a democratic country? Because those countries are partly or partially democratic. They are not fully. So in India, where we have so many races,
But thanks
religions,
to police IG Sajjanar for
yeah.
his action,
Yes.
which was very much needed.
Madam, let me tell you, Telangana state, as it is, uh, after the state is formed separately, there is lot of improvement in official approach. First, number one, and police, excellent.
Yeah, excellent, sir.
Municipal,
Excellent.
excellent.
Yeah,
There is
excellent.
no other, even the Cyberabad Security Council,
Yes.
which we have established in my time. See the excellent work they do. CSR, so corporate social responsibility also they undertake.
Yeah.
Nowhere I am just finding except in Telangana. Really,
Yeah.
it's a small state. Resources are given and they are being utilized properly.
I do agree, sir. I
she-
invited IG of Rachakunda police
Hmm.
station to my college,
To your
and we conducted a session. Yeah,
Hmm.
I do agree. Police excellent of Telangana.
She teams, nowhere she teams are this much perfect in Telangana than anywhere
Swati
else.
Batra.
Swati
Swati
Dakra, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's excellent. So in that way, social empowerment is happening.
Yes.
Women empowerment is under control.
Under control.
In our state of Telangana. Yes. Acha, coming to the next point, what I would like to throw some light by you is educational empowerment. We have already discussed on that. Dr. Madhumati gave her suggestions on educational empowerment. But educational empowerment, by educational empowerment, whether the bridge between the information haves and information have nots, the digital divide is narrowing or expanding between male and female population. So that is one of my concerns. If somebody can contribute to this, I feel because I said earlier, 80% of the women does not know how to use internet on their mobiles.
Right.
It was 5-6 years back or 3-4 years back. Now it is improving slowly. So I feel educational empowerment by both the central and state governments are working in a sustained manner. May not be it is a leapfrog growth, but it is achieving some sort of levels of growth in educational empowerment of women.
I think there are
So,
tangible improvements taking place.
yeah, correct. Yes, you are right, sir.
Yeah.
So, last,
There are,
yeah,
in fact,
please.
if you look at some of the, about 10 or 15 years back, we hardly saw any women entering the armed forces.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the kind of both in the army, navy, and the air force. Now,
Yeah.
at least the government has framed some very good rules in the defense ministry, whereby women are getting empowered, and you find for the first time, Indian
Yeah.
Air Force transport planes are being all piloted by women.
Women, yeah.
They are
Rafale.
doing a wonderful job there.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
the point again, what I would like to stress here is, it must be through law that education must be there. The right to education must be implemented. The schools project must be implemented in its entirety, so that at least till 10th or 12th standard, every girl in the country should get educated. That itself will empower them a lot. They would be much more aware of what needs to be done. And they will try to also know how to secure themselves too. Try to do some, that awareness levels itself will help them be on their own, stand on their own legs, join a self-help group, or join various women empowerment programs that are being offered. I think the government is trying to throw some programs, but look at the schools program. The amount of emphasis that needs to be given. I keep going to some rural areas as part of Akshaya Patra NGO, which provides midday meals. The school children come to school for the meal. The rest of the time, they are doing some household work.
Yeah.
So, but then,
These are the realities, sir. Though a number of programs like the schools program is being talked about, like the Telangana government is trying to offer incentives. A girl student who completes 9th or 10th would be given some amount so that they do their intermediate studies, go for higher education. Whereas the parents might want them to stop. It's enough. We can't find you a husband who is more educated than you. So these are all the kinds of issues that will have to be addressed as part of the education.
sir, in a pandemic like this, now there may be in near future, maybe for a year or so, there may not be students being sent to school, though they reopen by November 2nd or 16th, as Andhra government is saying. But in a
Now they are
pandemic like
planning.
this, yeah, in a pandemic like this, I think when we compare to the urban girls, rural girls are more practical in their approach. They are more practical in their approach. Given a smartphone on their hand, I think that will definitely, what all the ideas that you are sharing, sir, all that will be answered, because their IQ is high, they are sharp, and they are practical. Their approach is practical. Rural women can go far ahead than the urban women, because urban girls or urban women have less practicality than the natural ideas. So I feel in this pandemic, instead of going to school, anyway, the school may or may not, depending on the situation. So giving a smartphone and giving the digital education or technological education, that will definitely answer to all your questions, I feel so.
Good, madam. Seshidhar Garu, we are trying to debate on the woman empowerment. You have any ideas to share? Seshidhar Garu? Okay, I think he's...
No. I could have actually participated, but today we are working as our week, as our work begins, but I'm interested in, so I've been on and off. Kindly
Okay, right. No issue. Now...
Murthy garu, can I suggest something? Sauri speaking. Oh, I'm on mute.
Sir, most welcome, sir. Please go ahead. Sauri, sir, you are audible. You are audible.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. You are audible.
Yes. Now, can a comprehensive formula of rewarding and punishment be used for the parents or for the family, so that the girl child is sent to the school, in particularly in villages or backward situations, or if the girl child is sent to the school, he will get some reward. If he doesn't send to the school, he will get some sort of a disincentive in terms of some cutting rations and all that, so that he is compelled to send the girl to the school, because most of these they are interested to go to the school and study, but its parents sometimes they don't encourage them, and why education to the girl and all that is their thinking. So to cut that thinking, this type of comprehensive reward and punishment scheme. Punishment means it should not be deterrent. It should be some sort of nominal punishment. Can it be thought of and introduced?
Very nice session, sir. Very nice session. Very nice session. In fact, earlier for government servants, we used to have sterilization increments. Janardhan Rao Garu knows. If we have 2 children, we have 2 increments. So annually we used to get those increments in government. So like that, subsequent government came and put off that scheme. But still, such sort of incremental benefits or whatever it is given in the society, they would definitely help a girl child to get educated. A girl child to get educated. Yes. And in fact, the digital mission of the government of India and the state governments are that every household, one illiterate should be there. One person in every family should be illiterate. I think Suryanarayan Garu knows. Even AP government, IT policy, Telangana government, almost all governments are competitive in this in making the policies which are beneficial to the information technology penetration. So under that, every household, one illiterate shall be done. This is the policy of the government, present government. So naturally, in every for every 4 members, one illiterate will be there using mobile, computer, internet, whatever it is. So.
Sir, you are on mute, sir. My mistake.
This
Murthy,
last
sir.
issue, last issue is finally on political empowerment. We have 30% reservation quota for women, for girls and all those things. And Dr. Madhumati said there was no representation at all in either in parliament or in. What are your views, esteemed panelists? So if you can share something on that, then we can come to a better understanding of the issues. Any panel member, can you please, whether how the
we have a three-tier. We have a three-tier system of administration in our country, at the Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha level, at the state assemblies, and the Panchayat Raj. Maybe to start with, at the Panchayat Raj level, at least there must be 50% reservation of all positions to only women. But what I heard is the politics behind this is so high that the husbands only tell the wives who get elected actually, or whom should be getting elected at the village panchayat level. So that's a detriment again.
Here I will add, I went to one Mandal office, Tehsildar office, there that Mandal Praja Parishad, MPP is there. In MPP, one person came in a car, Mandal MPP member. MPP member was lady, not the gent. But gent came posing that he is the member of the MPP. So he is acting on behalf of his wife. So that is how
on behalf of his wife.
On behalf of his wife, he put on his car MPP member. That is very unfortunate.
It happens even in our area right now, sir. Before under GHMC, ward number behaves like that. On his name, on his wife's name. Everything he does, he keeps her in dark.
So these
because
are
their
the
guru is Lalu Yadav.
Yeah.
One fine example is Lalu Yadav.
At least Lalu Yadav.
Sir,
you're on mute, sir. Murthy, sir.
Yeah, correct.
Signed on the lighter side.
Yeah, correct.
In the lighter side, I can also suggest one thing. On the lighter side, I can suggest one thing. All the parliament members, when they want to get re-elected the next time, they should put their spouses as members of the parliament, sponsor their wives as the candidates. Every time they want to get re-elected,
so it should
themselves, with their spouses at better house, go there.
Now there is a big scam behind MLC, sir. MLC election, there's a big scam.
So, Dr. Swami, I think I have tried to put forth the points. Then the table is for you to consolidate.
Sir, sir, thank you so much, sir. But before we conclude the session, maybe we can extend for a few minutes. I think we have all talked very sweet about women. Let me be the villain of this one and then try to bring the other side of the story a little bit. Otherwise, the discussion would be probably incomplete. So I have two, either let us call these as questions or maybe the counter viewpoints to the subject of women empowerment. By and large, it is agreeable that women should be empowered, and they have been suppressed at many levels, like the political level, education level. It is agreed, and there is no discussion about that. But without looking at the counter viewpoints of the women empowerment, probably the discussion would be incomplete just for the sake of discussion. So I would like to raise 2 points out of the points that have been made by the members. One is the core assumptions of women empowerment. So it seems in the general literature and in the existing discussions that we're seeing, there seems to be an assumption that by educating girl children and by making them, get jobs, and then by giving them jobs, it would lead to their empowerment. But somehow the assumption seems to be slightly debatable or questionable, because even in the urban area where the woman is earning, even in areas where the woman is highly educated, still the male domination is there. Still she is subjected to harassment, she is subjected to social discrimination, she is subjected to so many other suppressions. So one of the questions probably that we might throw a bit of light is the assumptions that education and earning would give them power or not. That seems probably questionable. Point number two, there is also another underlying undercurrent, undertones that women are obviously suppressed. But if we look at the situation deeply on closer observation, see, women exert more power than men. In fact, as somebody says, the history is not made in the battlefields, history is made in bedrooms, which straight and squarely indicate that there is a woman's brain behind every man's policy. And in fact, even when we generally agree women are much more intelligent than man is what we agree, and then that's what even psychological studies and brain studies would indicate. Even at our homes, though women are not given any kind of monetary incentives for the hard work they do 24/7 and 365 round the clock, but I mean, the power they exert, the subtle power, the decision making power, generally we say that no, they are not giving the chance to make a decision, or they don't have a say in the decision making power of a house. But I mean, to my knowledge or with my limited experience, I think women exert even stronger influence in decision making. And before her decision is finally accepted by men in a particular family, she might have to go through a kind of a verbal abuse for a couple of times. But finally, when we look at, it's the women's decision that finally comes onto the table for implementation, is what I observe. I mean, within the little experience that I see. And then so the 2 points. One is the assumptions that we are making. Are they right? Are these taking in are they taking us in the right direction of empowering women? Is one question. Second one, the assumption that the power is they don't have a power is something questionable. They already are exerting a strong power, but it is subtle and softer, is what I'd like to bring forth to the table, sir.
Dr. Swami, if on a very lighter note, okay, is it observed or experienced?
It's both. Both. It's both. It's first person account. It's first person account and vicarious experience also.
Okay. On a serious note, Dr.
Yeah.
Swami, you see the huge divide between the rural and the urban households in this aspect. Okay. Empowerment definitely is very much required in the rural households, where the women folk, though they are the homemakers, they take a lot of decisions at home, as you pointed out. But when it comes to the question of getting subjugated, they are dominated. I have seen this happening almost across rural India. Maybe slightly better in South India compared to North India, maybe. But if you go to a rural household, you will hear a lot of stories about how women are so dependent in every aspect.
I do agree with you, Suryanarayan Garu. And in the South, I see women are more empowered even in rural areas. But as I have some good contacts and with a little experience, as I felt, in the North, even in elite families, in the North, women are subjugated in ways that are inexplicable. I think that's a right point you made.
Yes, sir. I fully agree with you.
Just to put another perspective to what Dr. Swami said. Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, can I? One more point. Hello.
Please
Yeah,
go ahead.
please, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Sir, just a sharing of the point or an idea. Like we introduce electives in our BTech engineering and other courses. Like that, in order to empower women, why don't we introduce one elective that would focus on empowering women at the graduation level, third year, fourth semester, or fourth year, second semester, something like that. That would, the micromanagement at home, or women in social relationship, or women, something which would empower women. One elective, just like we introduce human values and professional ethics in our engineering as one of the electives.
Yeah.
So like that, I think that would, create some idea, some maturity before they jump into the society as citizens or responsible citizens. They would develop within themselves some idea. This is what I would like to share.
Madam, I agree with you. Even in management, they
Yeah.
introduced ethics in management
Yeah.
as a subject. Similarly, this type of introduction is very good, and I still feel the refinement comes through our thinking, and that too, men's thinking should change.
Yes.
This is very, very important. And the
Yeah.
family head, whoever is there, his thinking should be radically supportive to the girl child. This is very important.
Yes. It can be an elective with some internship or with some project work, added some credits to it, like that.
Yes.
Do any members agree on the? I'm sorry, sir. Sir,
Yeah, please go
continue.
ahead. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone would agree. I have also seen cases where men in the family try to give their best possible support for women to make decisions, but I have seen some women are reluctant, and very good communication, very good cooperation, support, everything happens between both. But at the same time, when it comes to making decisions, most of the time women relied on men despite giving all the freedom. Is it part of our psyche? What is it like? I didn't understand the whole thing, but the thing is, I have observed it quite frequently in many, even elite families, that all the comfort, all the support, everything is provided to make a decision. But for making a decision again, the women are dependent on men.
Maybe lack of exposure, sir.
I mean, if I may, yeah.
Behind a successful
yeah,
man, every lady will be there. Behind every successful man, a woman will be there.
And it should be, and also vice versa.
To add to what Mr. Shashidhar said, the women's reluctance to make decisions or to take active part in some of the roles that men are playing, I would like to add one more. Even in case of doing jobs, even women are very much required in the software field, and they are preferred over men. Some of the women, after a couple of years after getting married, they are reluctant. So there is certain reluctance from the women's side to take on slightly the so-called aggressive roles that are played by men. But I think that is probably because of the stigma that's been attached, or the established roles of the women, which are strongly rooted in the society for over centuries and millions of years, or for quite long time. Women will be valued for certain things. Women are not valued for certain other things. Probably that reluctance might be traced back to women's psyche, where she will not be valued. She's valued for her beauty. She's valued for certain for other activities of hers. So that requires an overhauling of the entire system, where women should also be valued for their intelligence. Women should be valued for their for their knowledge, for their careers, for their achievements. Probably that reluctance is deeply rooted in the society. I mean, which takes the overhauling or facelifting the entire system. Maybe I think that I'd like to, point out.
No, no, no.
Maybe,
Her role can
maybe,
be played.
yeah.
Sorry, sir. Her
Carry
role
on.
can be substituted in the office, in the professional case, but in the personal case, her role cannot be substituted. So when she finds her family in shackles, she will definitely be reluctant in accepting all such. This is what I feel.
You're right.
That
You're
is
right.
what
Safeguard the woman.
again that point is rooted in the established norm that why only the women should feel that that's her family. What about men? So that is rooted in the established roles that this is your role, that is your role. That is, I mean, if that has to be changed, probably that's when it needs to dawn on us, all the men probably. So that established, firmly rooted roles of men and women.
It's Dr. Swami, if I may add, I think in the beginning, the nature itself has so decided, and there is a mother's role, which is so different from a father's role. Nurturing of a child automatically comes to a mother only. So the role itself is such where the mother plays that role, and she thinks that definitely much more important for her compared to a career is that role of a mother of her children. So maybe for the father, it's more of a responsibility to earn for the family is much more than nurturing the children. Whereas mother takes on that role very natural to her, and therefore you may find that she is reluctant to take on higher career goals and others and the responsibilities that go with it.
You're absolutely
Whereas
right.
men do that. Yeah.
Agreed.
See, mother is God.
Yeah, mother is God.
There's no doubt about it.
Yes.
Yeah, I would
Again,
give
we
the
came to
best-
the
I would give
starting point where Karyeshu Dasi, Sayaneshu Rambha, all those things.
Yes.
Again, we came back
Yes,
to the starting of the
Correct.
story. So,
me
that's
give
how.
a
But
personal
anyhow,
experience.
yeah, sorry, carry on, sir.
Sir, with
I
that,
will
with
give
that
my
again,
personal
on a lighter note, and that quote of the Sanskrit has defined the roles and duties of a woman. What about man's duties are there? It's like subtly putting it on a higher plane, but then shirking our men's responsibilities without any quote. What she has to do has been prescribed. What she has to do
Yeah.
has been presented in well poetic form. What men has to do has not
Oh,
has not
Swami
been
Garu,
presented.
Swami Garu, it is
Goes
understood
by
that
default.
sir, what all is not mentioned there, it is to be taken care of by man.
Man, that's
He
right.
is right.
By
He is
default.
right. Correct. So
By
by
default.
default,
By default.
The achievement of children, major portion of it is attributed to mother only.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, sir, because from my personal experience, I would share a moment. See, my wife and she is a PhD in computer sciences, and my wife and I got a position in Saudi Arabia with a university here at the same time, but she decided to stay back in India for our daughter because she understood that education for a child in India is better compared to Saudi Arabia. So I moved, she stayed there. Now she heads a department of computer science. That's a different case. But the thing is, she is 100 times more efficient than me in taking care of my child, in taking care of her job. Uh, you know, I think they are impeccable, but still, why they have to fight for their empowerment, I haven't understood to date.
Sir, we need to probably think, we need to go back to, for example, let us take up, if our fathers and forefathers around some 10 generations before, immediately after the delivery, if there had been a situation, let's an imaginary situation after the delivery of the child, let us say the women were asked to go to their work after a few days, and if that role has been given to fathers to take care and nurture the child right from 6 months or 7 months, or maybe 1.5 years. I mean formative years, from 1.5 years for so long. If it has been continuing for generations, probably in a situation where, I mean, the woman would have stayed. Women would have gone to job, and then men would have stayed with the kids. So that's what we need to probably look at, reversing the system, how it would be. Just imagining, just throwing a light on the oddest possibility, whether it is possible or not.
You cannot justify. You can't do justice to the child.
అదే మీరు ఆ
No,
సినిమా చూడాలి.
see, there are so many, ma'am, there are so many situations where after the delivery of the child, the mother probably must have died, or she has died, and then the entire care has been taken by fathers.
Yeah.
There are so many instances. If fathers are trained to take care of the child right from right now we have,
But
I mean,
from the
yeah,
from
it is
the day
possible.
one.
It is absolutely possible. Why is that only it has come naturally to men? I mean, delivering the baby because of the biological factors is a different thing. But once the child is on the earth, I think it
Hello.
is. They should also share that responsibility completely.
Women empowers men that way.
Yeah, probably. Yes.
A
Yes,
lighter
sir.
side, Benazir Bhutto delivered while she was Prime Minister,
I know.
and she got the support for the husband and family, and she continued to be as Prime Minister.
But she was brutally killed.
It's in a Muslim country. It is a Muslim country.
Again, sir, there is some problem. Just to point out, see, we have also seen so many advertisements and on YouTube where the mother would be coming to the class and teaching with the kid in the hand. What her husband was doing, sir?
Yeah.
What was her husband doing? What was her husband doing?
Taking up the
in so
other
many-
child.
No.
Cases
See,
are different.
See, we are appreciating women. See, when we appreciate women for taking care of the job and taking care of the family together, even after coming from home, even after coming from work, and again she is burdened with coffee or tea or any other making of the food, and we are appreciating her for her innumerable roles that she can play. Then what husbands are doing there? I mean, in what way we
That's
are
what-
empowering?
They must have taught classes on cooking in the schools.
We have to educate all mothers to empower their sons in order to cooperate with their wives.
So, in the cooperation and harmony that is required, and the family cooperation and family harmony is the primary importance. Is the
Yeah.
Okay, sir. Then now it is around 6. I mean, we've extended this by around 20 minutes because of the lively discussion that we had. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this coffee table discussion, and especially our moderator, P.S. Murthy garu, sir. We are so thankful and grateful to you for gracing the platform with your talk and that curtain raiser note, stimulating the discussion. And thank you, one and all, each and everyone, for participating in this discussion. Okay, with that note, I'd like to end this meeting with your permission, sir. And ma'am.
Thank you all. Thank you. Murthy.
Thank you.
That's great. That was a lovely discussion. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Most welcome, sir.
Thank you, Murthy garu. Thank you, Suranaran garu. Thank you, Krishna Kumar garu. Thank you so much.
हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन, मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन. Thank you.
Thank
So that's
you.
a good note to end, sir. Thank you. And then we'll meet on next CTD next month, first week. I mean, first Sunday.
Right. Definitely.
Next month, first Sunday. Okay, sir. Bye.